Good morning. This morning I'm going to go through the basic nymph rig with you. It's imperative to me that whatever type of nymphing you choose, whatever way you decide to set up your nymph rig, whether you use tags or you check nymph, the main idea to me is to get a system and stick with it. You know, in the Fly Fishers Playbook, I show the rig that I use consistently. And I think that's important because once you use a rig over and over and over again, you begin to learn how to adjust quickly and on the fly. You learn how to read the water and read the fish, and that helps you put your bugs right where they're supposed to be, proper depth, proper speed. Now, we'll start at the fly line, and we'll work our way right down to the bottom bug. The fly line to leader connection, I like a 7.5 foot leader to start with, because by the time I get all my bugs tied on, I'm 9.5 feet typically from the end of the leader and fly line butt. Typically right here, and all these knots that I'm going to talk about, if you don't know them, I mean, it's critical and imperative that you learn these knots, and you can tie them quickly and accurately. Look it up, figure out how to tie these knots if you don't already know how. Right here on the fly line to leader junction, I'm going to use a nail knot. In most cases, you tie that nail knot on there, and what you can do is develop a system to provide a loop-to-loop connection. If you don't already have a welded loop onto your fly line, you can provide a loop-to-loop connection by tying a perfection loop here, and then I use the loop that comes with factory leaders, and I make a loop-to-loop connection. So that's the first part. I like to use a nice tapered leader. Sometimes I build my own leaders. It depends on the application, but for this application we're going to talk about a factory leader. The next thing I do is I place my indicator on the leader. Now I have another little video coming out, I'll probably post it fairly soon, about how to put your indicator onto the leader. And I like to use a yarn indicator, and I explain in the other video, I like it because it slides very easily, and you can adjust this any way you want. In this case, I'm using a rubber band and some poly macrame yarn. The depth that I'm going to go, that I choose, is basically determined by the water. And the rule of thumb is 1.5 times the depth of the water is your length. So from here to my weight, let's say the water's 3 feet deep, I'm going to run 5 feet from here to my weight. A lot of people think to the fly, but it's to the weight, because the weight is what's bouncing on the bottom. So we're going to travel down the leader here, and I put a junction here at the end of my leader with some, I went ahead and put some 5X tippet on here, but I used a surgeon's knot, a double surgeon's knot. Make sure you really lubricate those knots. And above that, I'm putting my weight. Now, I'm going to micromanage this throughout the day, so I may put some putty on there. I may add or subtract weight, but the basic idea is to make sure that the weights don't slide down. Now, to my first bug, typically I'm going to run from the weight to the first bug, and in this case I have a big San Juan worm. I'm going to run 14 to 16 inches. And in this case, again, I'm using 5X tippet. So I'm going to the eye of this first fly, the big San Juan worm. And I'm coming off the bend of this fly with another piece of tippet. Again, that's the normal clinch knot. I'm running a 3-bug rig today, so typically what I like to do is run between 10 and 12 inches between the bugs. Now notice this bug here. You see how it's tied from the eye to the eye? That is because of the nature of this bug. I want this profile of this bug to be like this in the water. Now, I'm not going to tie a stonefly that way or a San Juan worm because they tumble in the water. But in this case, I'm going to mimic a caddis pupa, and I'm using a soft tackle pheasant tail, and you see that it rides this way in the water. Any bug that does swimming action, I'm going to tie this way. Now let's go back up to this bug a little bit. I don't always put my biggest attractor bug up here. It depends on the conditions. Sometimes I may put a size 22 midge larva here. It just depends on where I want the bug in the specific column, how the fish are feeding, what they're feeding on. I always call that reverse entomology. try to determine by either flipping rocks, sustaining, or watching the adults come off, what is coming off. Try to stay ahead of the hatch, and by that I mean, selecting the bugs that you think are going to be prolific that day, and then tying them on accordingly. Now from this bug here, I'm going to my last bug, and in this case, it's an RS2, because I know there's going to be some betas coming off today, so I'm putting an RS2, and obviously it's tied right to the eye. Now the key in this, folks, is that I can adjust it quickly and accurately. Remember, this weight is on the bottom here, so the bugs are going to be up and through the column. The farther you are away from the weight, the higher the bug's going to be in the column. So again, read your fish and read your water. So that's my basic nymph rig right there. Quick to adjust, accurate, fish it 4 seasons. Fish it through heavy water, fish it through clear water, skinny water, water that's off color. Learn how to fish this thing. Make sure that you know exactly what the bugs are doing at all time, and that'll up your chances. All this information that I'm giving you this morning is in more detail in the Fly Fishers Playbook, A Systematic Approach to Nymph Fly Fishing. Now I'm going to go try to catch some fish.